Caution, the Mark Gungor Show contains adult content intended for an adult audience. And, besides that, he's really weird. Welcome to the Mark Gungor Show with international marriage speaker and author of Laugh Your Way to a Better Marriage, Mark Gungor. This is your source for practical, down-to-earth marriage advice without all the over-spiritualization or romantic nonsense. And now the host of the Mark Gungor Show, Mark Gungor.
Crowd goes wild with delirious joy. They've joined the Mark Gungor Show, the show that deals with all things concerning marriage. Indeed, I'm your host, the one, the only Mark Gungor. Joining me, as always, the
I'm not in the right spot, am I?
ever lovely, charming, and green today.
It's green.
All right.
I'm too far over, right?
No,
he probably set the camera when I was not in my right spot.
This isn't a big enough budget for you to move back and forth.
Yeah,
so we don't have a camera guy to follow you.
Stay in
very,
spot.
very limited budget. Don't move. This show's done on the cheap. We don't want to actually hire camera people to run cameras. The lovely Diane, look very nice today, by the way.
Thank you.
All green and
Thank you.
gold. And
it's not easy being green.
not easy
Green and
being
gold,
green.
Packers.
That's right.
There we go.
And of course, the incomparable Philip James Gungor, heir to the vast Gungor fortune. Up to $75, I think. Maybe. After taxes, about $12.
And I'm extorting half of that from him.
That's right. Engineering the show, as always, the very talented but eerily creepy Timothy Robert Ray, pushing buttons, twisting knobs, and trying to stay awake during this incomprehensibly, immeasurably boring show. This is the show that handles your marital challenges, relational conundrums, and dating dilemmas. You can email to us at ask@markgungor.com. I got my African shirt on today.
You have not worn that for quite some time. I was surprised when you walked into the room.
Mandela shirt. It's my Madiba shirt. Madiba. That's cool. This is hand painted. Are you impressed? Good. There we go. What do you got for today?
Okay, so there's this relationship coach.
A relationship coach.
She says she has
Go,
more.
team, go.
In fact, you sent me this article.
I did?
Yes, you did. She says that she has
sent you
more.
something?
Yes, you did. She has more clients than ever who give their husbands permission to cheat as long as it's on their terms, the wife's terms.
Okay.
So this wealthy couple who'd been wed for 12 years came up with a new marriage contract with this online relationship coach. The husband agrees that they can have a fifth child, while the wife consents to an infidelity clause allowing him to cheat with other women on a strictly annual basis. They agreed to
Once a year?
Yeah, weekend amnesty where the guy can do whatever he wants for just one weekend a year. And in return, she gets the bigger family that she wants. According to this coach, such arrangements are increasingly common in her practice as a growing number of women agree to widen their monogamy boundaries and embrace a marriage of convenience where it's just the husband who strays rather than an open marriage where both sides can cheat. She says that she cites a 2013 research study that said more than 50% of marriages survive infidelity. She said 15 years ago, having an affair would have been a deal breaker, but people now realize it's not the end of the world. It's tough in the initial stages, but many see it as an opportunity to make a fresh deal.
Oh, good Lord.
So you want something, it's kind of...
Let's make a deal.
Either the wives are turning a blind eye to it, or it's like the don't ask, don't tell thing, she says. But it's apparently becoming increasingly popular.
Yeah. Well, does that surprise anybody? I mean, we don't live... These are not devout Christian people,
No,
devout
clearly.
Muslim people, devout anything people, Jewish people. These are just a bunch of pagans.
Devout hedons.
Devout hedonists. They give into their own devices. But do you know what the key here was? Why they do this?
Because they want the money and the lifestyle, and they want what they
couple,
want.
A very wealthy couple. It's about the money.
Yes.
It's about she wants to keep the money.
Yes.
So she likes her money. She knows that if she gets the divorce, she's not going to be able to maintain her lifestyle, which is reality check for people out there. People are so goofy. They get divorced and they live in poverty for the rest of their lives. Like, well, really, what was the point of that? So they have lots of money. So she, in order to maintain that money and to get something else out of him, like another baby or something like that, he gets to go out and be with hoes. Ho, ho, ho. Anyway, we live in just a really crazy world. Then people wonder why their lives stink, wonder why they're miserable, wonder why they're unhappy. But this stuff doesn't work. That's why people listen to the show.
It's rather dysfunctional.
Because what they're doing out there doesn't work. And it's very dysfunctional. Anyway, very odd.
I have to assume, too, these women are also under the impression that they don't need a dad. They don't need a husband. Yeah,
well, if they're staying married for the kids.
She's saying, give me another kid. I'll just take care of all of this. Whatever. You can go out and do whatever you want to.
No, because he's still the husband the rest of the year. He's still the dad and the husband the rest of the year.
It's just the one weekend.
It's just,
he gets the hall pass.
Look, they're just dysfunctional people. And her motivation is she wants to hang on to the money. And she knows that either she allows it. At some point, she believes if she doesn't allow this, he will leave her, and then she hurts financially. Better to let him do it. Again, we're not talking people who have the healthiest of values here.
Right.
A little crazy. All right, let's take a break.
That's
we'll
weird.
be back with your emails, hopefully not quite as dysfunctional, right after this.
Download your free Mark Gungor app today to see all of the latest from the world of Mark Gungor.
Hi, Mark Gungor here, talking to you about our T1 program that we have here at our church at Celebration Church in Green Bay, Wisconsin. It is a transition year program for young people before they go off to college. Here's the situation we have today. Young Christian kids, forget about what the secular world does for a minute. I'm talking about the Christian people, devout Christian people. They want the best for their kids. They want to honor God in their lives. The kids go through high school. The second they get out of high school, whoosh, they shove them off into college, and they never slow down. And then they're off to their careers and stuff like that. The statistics for that are very, very bad. They say, I don't know who studies this stupid stuff, but they'll say as high as 80% of the Christian kids in evangelical churches give up on their faith about 2 years into their college experience. It's an unmitigated disaster. We're all trying to figure out programs and stuff like that. How do we fix it? But here's one of the best ways we can fix it. Slow down. Slow down. You don't need to go running off to college as soon as you get out of high school. We encourage these kids to take a 1-year gap program. Now, there's several of them around the country. We have one here in Green Bay. We hope that you'll consider ours. You can go to T1. Is that just the letter T?
Transition1.org.
Transition1.org. We call it T1. So it's transition1.org. Look at our 1-year program. What it is instead of running off to college right away, they come and take 1 year and they come to this program. Now, it's not a Bible school, but we do teach from the scriptures, try to build character, but we show them how to do life, how to make decisions, how to be leaders, how to handle money. Something you would think people used to learn. They used to learn this stuff in high school. They don't learn it anymore. They don't learn jack anymore. How to date, how to make decisions about marriage for your life, all these fundamental things. And we breathe life into these young people and teach them how to do life. At the end of the last 3 months of the program, it's a typical school year, the last 3 months, they go on a missions trip. We have various partners around the world where they go and they serve. Now, a lot of people do these mission trips, short-term mission trips. It's like a week here, 7 days here, 10 days there. And it's great that they do that seriously. And even those can be life-changing for kids. But let's be honest. It's more a vacation than a missions trip. 7 days? Are you kidding? They're just having fun flying around and seeing stuff and la, la, la. They come home. It was wonderful. I'm sure it was wonderful. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking 3 months. You're there. You're living with people. You start finding out that the whole world doesn't have Wi-Fi. Anyway, it's a great experience. The Bible says, put first the kingdom of God. Let's teach our kids that. It'll make a huge difference. Transition1.org.
She got long blonde hair and a sweet disposition. You ought to see what she does in the kitchen. Grits and gravy, chicken too. My baby even cooks me barbecue. I love my baby. Yeah, I love my baby. Yeah, I love my baby. And my baby loves me.
The music of Jimmy Bratcher. Check it out at jimmybratcher.com. You know, I'm going to be playing with Jimmy at Sturgis Motorcycle Rally this year. And Phil, did you hear this? We're opening for Willie Nelson
Oh, really? Yeah. You guys gonna hang out in Willie's bus beforehand?
I don't know. I think the marijuana smoke might knock me out.
Get an I Smoked with Willie t-shirt?
Oh my gosh.
So I'm hoping I get a picture with him so I can post it.
He's old. He's really old now. Willie Nelson.
He's like 3 years older than my dad.
Yeah, right? No, he is. He's in his 80s,
He's
right?
like really old.
Isn't he?
He's up there.
In his 80s, I thought.
Yeah. So anyway, still doing his gigs and stuff. So this is the first year that Jimmy always goes out there and just does some outreach things. But then some of these places haven't come, but they've been letting him play on some of the lesser stages, if you will,
Like the
stages
side
everywhere,
stages.
side stage or side show.
Freak show. Come
Freak
on.
show. That's where we go play.
When you're there.
So yeah, when I'm there, it's definitely a freak show. But this, because they've really loved him and it's really well received. They put him on the big stage this year,
Which is cool.
So we got like 4 nights on the one of the big.
So
Yo
who are
Mama
the other
stages.
guys you're opening for besides Willie? Do you know?
Well, opening means we're just before him, so I don't know. I'm sure there's all kinds of other people. there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway,
Because the
so
main
yeah.
stage would be like main people if you were
Yeah,
on before them.
Oh, yeah.
But is it Willie for all
big-
4 nights? That's
all
what
the
I
big
was
major
wondering.
dudes. So anyway, so they'll be thrilled to see me, I'm sure.
Or to Mark Gungor, Willie will come up to you and say, "Hey,
Don't I look like a motorcycle person?
waited my whole life to meet you, Mark Gungor."
I'm sure Willie would just be thrilled. I'll probably go walking by and go, "Hey, aren't you Mark Gungor?" Anyway, Jimmy Bratcher, jimmybratcher.com. Okay.
Okay, she wants to know, too good to be true. So my husband and I have been only married for 2 months, and I really
Keep
have.
my eyes off of you.
Yeah, right. And we have not had any major problems, a spat here and there or a disagreement, but no full-blown fights. My husband worries that this is all too good to be true. We know problems.
You've only been married 2 months. Good grief.
We know problems
it with these
may
people?
come up, but I don't think that's just because we haven't had a yelling match yet. I would rather not ever have one of those. She said, we are both believers. We pray every day and are in God's word all the time studying. I think part of it was during our short engagement, we were told by many other couples, oh, isn't being engaged wonderful? But wait till you get married. Or things like, I
People
hope
say
you're ready
stupid
for a
things like
difficult,
that.
hard
That's
road
why people
in your
are
marriage.
no. That's why people are scared to get married.
Yes.
It's people who are married and parents of young people that are freaking the snot out of these young people. So they delay, and it's just there's no sense for it. And by the way, what they're describing is normal. This is not unusual. This is normal.
The first 2 months, you don't
No,
argue
are
and
they
yell
fairly
and scream. 24 and 20. Sorry, she's 26 and he's 34.
Okay, so older than I thought. But generally speaking, people who marry younger, when we got married, we didn't have problems. I'm stunned by these people who you talk to them 4 months into the marriage. Man, we're going through hell. 4 months you're in hell? How do you get to hell in 4 months? I don't know what these people are. And a lot of those do tend to marry later. Actually, I'd put them
In
kind
the
of in
later,
that,
especially 34.
Yeah.
He's
So I'm
pretty
surprised they're
set
doing
in
as
his
well as
ways.
they are. But I mean, generally speaking, people who marry you don't have all these stupid problems. Good grief, you're supposed to marry somebody you like.
Yep.
You're somebody you can't stand where you marry. I don't
They're
know.
making up a problem when they don't have one.
Well, she said they got so much negative feedback.
How
much
long was
more
it
than
before you had
positive.
a real serious come to Jesus?
Certainly wasn't
Within the 2
probably,
months.
No.
I'd say it was
Maybe
years.
4 or 5, maybe?
Months?
4 or 5 years.
Years.
Yeah, years. Years.
Well, she says her husband's worried because things are going so well. Should they be worried or just count themselves
No,
blessed?
you need new friends. Gotta stay away from these psychos. I don't know what the heck they're talking about. What you're experiencing is normal. What Phil just described is normal. What I just described is normal. Years. It took years before we had any encounters. Although couples who tend to marry later have them a lot sooner. But you guys are, you've gotten around that. Good for you. What you're describing is normal. Here's what's normal, people. I don't focus for a minute, all right? Quit smoking the Willie Nelson joints for a second. Just listen. Just listen. You marry someone you like. Does everybody get that? I mean, you like to be with them. Mm-hmm. Are we there? Can you find?
Well, in the first place,
No, wait,
a
I'm
lot
not
of these
done.
people
You're
argue.
interrupting
I know.
point number 1.
But I'm saying they argue and they fight and they have to have trouble. You have so much trouble and have to have help getting through the trouble before they get married.
Oh,
half
I know.
the
They
time.
need counseling
There's
before they
way
get
too
married.
many people that do that.
Oh, I know. That's why I say, when you guys write me, say, oh, can you help us because we're having a real hard time. We're not married and we need counseling. I say, no, I won't help you. I refuse to do pre-marriage counseling for a couple before they get married who's having trouble. I refuse. This is your sign. Get away from each other, you idiots. Get away from each other. So step number one, if you're not psycho, like so many of these people today, you actually marry someone you like. When you're with someone you like, you generally don't yell and scream at each other. It takes years of it. Eventually, the planets and everything line up to where you're going to really have a big disagreement about something. But that should take a long time. I don't understand these people. And I get it all the time. Overwhelmingly, it's people who marry older.
Yeah.
I say, how's it going? Oh, man, 12 months we're in hell. 6 months we're in hell. So last time I was in Africa talking to this young couple compared to me. They're in the 30s, finally got married.
But they got married.
2 months they were in hell. 2 months, and the world is crashing around them. Like, what is the matter with you people? Good grief. So anyway, you are doing just fine. You're normal. It's all these other people that are creating abnormal. The abnormal is becoming normal now because people are just approaching life wrong. Good grief. Just marry someone you like. You're married.
Marry someone that you don't argue and fight with all the time before you get married.
You like them and you get to have sex with them.
Not before you're married.
No, but I'm saying this is the deal, right?
Right.
Okay, a lot of people cheat about that, but let's just say, okay, the bottom line is you get married now, you get to be with each other, you can run around naked, you can just... What is there to argue about? I don't understand it. Nobody has any money at this point. I don't know. I don't get it. You people frustrate me to know it. You have no idea. Anyway, you're normal. What you're describing is actually normality. That's the way it should be. Now, they're only 2 months into it. Now, 3 months into it, you start screaming at each other. There's something wrong with you. It should not be happening. Good grief. All right. What else you got?
Okay, next email is about sarcasm. My husband...
I have no idea.
Yeah, my husband and I have noticed...
I've never experienced that.
My husband and I have noticed that you use a lot of humorous sarcasm.
What? How can I say that?
My husband is also sarcastic, but his sarcasm is typically in anger. He has used your sarcasm to justify his sarcasm. So
Mark Gungor does it, so I can do it. Is that what he's saying?
She's curious if you have ever told your wife, even in humor, that something she has done or said was stupid. I asked her for a little bit more explanation.
Hold it. You know us. Have I ever indicated towards my wife that something she has said or done was stupid? Ever? Have you ever heard that? In the last hour?
Not since
this morning.
I walked into the room this morning. No.
What's highly disturbing is that somebody out there is quoting me as justification.
Yeah.
Clearly, the world is falling apart.
She says,
Mark Gungor did it. It means I can do it.
She says we listen to Mark, and he kind of makes fun of how people think as well as he expresses his frustration.
Yeah.
But then say that Mark is addressing a woman who falls for the lie of premarital sex as a way to get love, and Mark uses words like stupid. So therefore, my husband likes those words, and he thinks they are acceptable in any context. I can see that Mark uses them in humor, and they are never directly spoken to a single individual, but my husband doesn't seem to see that difference.
Yeah. Listen to me. The fact that you're debating what I do is highly disturbing, number one. Number two, all you women, listen to me. And the healthy ones get this. It doesn't matter what anybody else does. You set the standard for how you will be treated. It's just that simple. If he is, and who knows what he's saying, I say it to people I can't see or hear.
That's what she's saying, and that's different than saying it to the woman you live
your wife. And even though we're kidding about me being sarcastic toward my wife, and she can be a little snippy at me, I'll tell you. We are, but not in meanness. We're not mean, nasty towards each other. And besides, there's some things I cannot say to my wife. Because she will knock my head off.
You've learned.
All right, I've learned. Because she sets the standard for how she will be treated. If I'm doing something and my wife says, "Don't you ever say that to me again," and I go, "Well, Diane Briley says it."
There's a lot of things Diane Briley says.
or Franklin Graham says it, or Focus on the Family says it. She wouldn't care. Who says it? First of all, I wouldn't be that stupid to quote anybody else. So your husband is a nitwit. Stop it. Quit quoting me. Your wife doesn't want you to do it, you stop. I don't care who says it's okay. You got to live with this woman. So you just need to be very clear with the boy. That's all you got to do. Doesn't matter if me and everybody in the city you live, let's say you live in a city of 1 million people, and everybody does a certain thing that you don't like, as far as your husband's concerned, it doesn't happen. All right? Doesn't matter what anybody else does. All right, we'll take a break. We'll be back with more emails right after this.
Have a marriage dilemma? Email your questions to ask@markgungor.com, and Mark can answer them during one of our shows.
So you call up the preacher and the marriage counselor too, and they don't have an answer. No, here's what you can do.
We're back on the Mark Gungor Show, telling you what you can do, answering your emails about marriage, love, and relationships.
Okay, this one's not about any of those three. Honestly, it's not.
Oh,
It's not about marriage, love, or relationships.
Cats, dogs.
From a young man, he wants to know, what should I do? I love your show, Mark. It's informative and entertaining. Ever since I saw your show on TV in South Africa, I was interested. So there's your South African.
Madiba, I have my Madiba shirt on today.
I always knew God knew stuff about sex and had guidelines and advice, but I was given the impression that talking about sex was sinful and dirty because no pastor would talk about it, even though sex shows up in the Bible.
I know, it's so absurd, isn't it?
Yes.
These pastors. Good Lord. All right.
He says, by the way, I like your voice, Diane. You are underappreciated. Now you know why I had to read this email.
Did you write that in? Is that
No,
She did.
It's-
She wrote it in herself.
It's parenthetical, but it's there.
We don't know.
He continues.
There's no way for us to verify the
He didn't say it
veracity.
exactly, but she could tell that's what he was getting at.
I am underappreciated, aren't I? What I wanted to ask is, what should I do? I am in high school and I've reached the point where we choose subjects we want to choose for our career path. I have heard all of the teachings, but I need the man, the myth, the human burrito, Mark Gungor, to give the particular and simple answer to what I should do.
He's listened to some old shows.
Yes.
Phil even looking at me, human burrito.
Burrito, yeah.
You're stuffed with beans and cheese?
No, it's because I'm always a little round, a little chubby. I'm the human burrito.
Yes.
Although I've lost some weight.
You have.
I have. I'm more than likely going to find it again.
He'll find you.
But I have lost
At
some.
the bottom of a burrito.
Yeah.
At the bottom of a burrito, yes.
He says, I'm supposed to choose, but am I supposed to pray and ask God for my calling, or what? Should I look at my skill set and choose? Please help me.
That's a good question. I would say pray about it, ask for wisdom, but do what's in your heart to do. Trust that God will guide and direct your heart. And trust that He's given you the skills to do whatever it is that you're supposed to do. Let's face it, people. If you're the kind of person who can't focus more than 8 minutes at a time reading a book, like some people I know,
Don't be a librarian.
then probably brain surgery is not your thing. All right.
Maybe not.
Now, I could have tried to really discipline myself to be a brain surgeon. Because I would have never been able to pass the first class because I can't focus. But do what you can do. One thing you want to avoid is trying to always fix your weaknesses. Now, you got to avoid bad behavior and stuff like that. Everybody's got to do that because that'll destroy your life. But go with your strengths. There's people that spend all their time trying to be better at something that they're just not very good at. For example, if you're terrible at sports, if you're not a naturally gifted, amazingly humanly built athlete like myself, let's say you're not like that.
So your two paths. It was either professional athlete or ministry.
If you don't have the perfect human form like I do, do something else. What are you good at? What do you love? What's passionate? But here's the good news. Here's what a lot of people make God's will out to be: a great mystery. And it's not a great mystery. Let me ask you a question. If you were a parent, he has parents. Did your parents tell you what they wanted, or did they wait for you to come seek their face? Of course, they just told you. Your teachers in school, do they tell you what to do, or do they expect you to come say, "Oh, dear teacher, please open my eyes to understand what lesson I should be studying"? No, they tell you. If you're working for an employer, what does he tell you what to do, or does he sit in his office waiting for you to come and fast and pray until he gets your... Jesus said, if you being evil know how to do the right thing, how much more is God? It's God's will The thing about someone who has a will, he tells you what he wants you to do. This idea that the will of God is a mystery and the only way you can know it is to beg and to plead and to cry. Well, they did that in the Old Testament. Usually that's what their lives were on the line and they were all jacked up and stuff. Trust that God will lead and guide you. Do what's in your heart. And if you're not going the right direction, he'll point you in the right way. We'll be back after this.
Caution, the Mark Gungor Show contains adult content intended for an adult audience.
Feelings got me down, alone in my mind. Oh, I shouldn't take the time.
We're back on the Mark Gungor Show, talking about love, marriage, and
Here I go
relationships.
again.
Those are some of our employees. So I said, how many tickets have been sold on site at one of our campuses? Elizabeth should be giving you an update. Just tell me. Need an update from somebody else. Instead of answering me, they tell someone else so they can tell me. What is that?
They're still processing the numbers?
Read original question and answer it.
This is funny because the lady talking about how he would never use sarcasm
Yeah.
I would never use that.
Sarcasm.
has never worked for him.
Read original question and answer it. There we go.
Okay. I have a question about the last
People.
young man's email. If I can draw you back
Sure,
here.
sure.
Okay. So, how many people do you honestly think figure out what their life's thing is when they're 18, straight out of the starting gates?
Very few.
But that's what they all want to do. They
I know.
don't understand that you have to go out into the world, you experience things, you do this job, it sucks, you hate it, you're not good at it, you find something else. They just think that they're supposed to find it just like that, miraculously.
Oh, that's great. And what people don't understand is God's will for some people, I know this is going to sound very shocking to you, is for you to do some things and fail miserably. That's actually part of God's will for you. You learn life experiences. You learn how to handle things and stuff like that. Very few people start at 18 and end up doing what they planned at 18. There are some who do.
Mm-hmm. But that's pretty small, don't
It's
you
very,
think?
very small. You know how many people have degrees and now they're working as adults that have nothing to do with what they went to school for? You're one of them.
No, I did work in it for,
Yeah,
quite
you
a
did
few
for a while.
years
But I mean, some
before.
would have absolutely nothing.
Right.
Or a lot of people get degrees that, I got in trouble once calling them throwaway degrees.
Whoops.
One guy got really mad at me because he was getting the degree at the time. Because I said, a throwaway degree, like history. Well, now, if you're going to be a history teacher,
Right.
that's fine. But a lot of guys take degrees like history or something just because they don't know what else to do.
Or they like history.
I know, but it has nothing to do with your careers. Like, what
Right.
the heck? So, and in America, people spend obscene amounts of money. They leave with a debt that is crushing, sometimes upwards of $100,000 of
easily.
debt on their shoulders after going to school to get a degree for something they don't even really want to do. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. I don't even think you should go to college. Everybody need to go to college. I don't think you should even go to college unless you know you need something that is required for college. Anyway, so lots of people start out doing things that they don't do later. My main focus when I started was as a musician. I still can play, but I learned a lot along the way. And it took, for me, I was almost 50 years old before I figured out what I was supposed to be doing. You mean everything was a waste ahead of time? No. It actually got me to the point where I can answer a lot of your questions because I've been through that and whatever. So, but the main thing you have to understand is God's will is his will. He doesn't hide his will for you and expect you to grovel and beg for it. That is absurd. All right? You don't do that to your children. Your teachers don't do that to you. Your boss would never do that. If you're a boss, you wouldn't do it to your employee. If you're a boss and you want someone to pick up boxes and move it over there, you don't sit there and wait for them to come seek your face.
Okay, now you're
You
going to confuse people, though, because you're saying that God will tell you what it is. And now they're going, well, God hasn't told me. And they want to know, how do you know what God wants?
Because whatever you find to do it with all your heart.
And that's God's will.
Yeah, until he says otherwise.
See, they're still waiting to hear.
That's a good point. That's a good
they're
point.
waiting to hear God tell me because that's what Mark Gungor said.
Oh, yes. Now I'm glad you clarified.
Thank you.
Just do what you're good at, and whatsoever your hand finds to do, do with all your heart and do the best you can. Look at your talents, your abilities. God, these gifts that you have came from God. People who can sit down and play a piano with hardly ever studying, it's a gift from God. People who can read a book and later can recall everything in that book and what page it was on, that, I'm telling you, is a gift from God. I got a friend like that, Larry, The guy's brilliant. Brilliant. Of course, he's like a doctor and stuff now. And the reason is because he can remember everything he ever reads and an instant recall. When I first met him, he says, I really like your book, but there was a question I had about something in there. I wasn't quite worded right. I'm thinking, really? I don't ever remember reading any of my books. And he goes, yeah, I think it's like page 83. What? I mean, sure enough, he opens it up, and there's some weird thing on some page that's kind of weird. I said, I don't know what I was thinking. But I mean, there's people, that is a gift from God. There's people who are, again, the athletes. This is what do you think? You came up with this stuff? These are gifts from God. You have to understand, look at what you can do. What are you gifted at? What are you inclined to do? This, I would start as God's gifts to you. Use those gifts and move forward. If God wants you to go a different direction, he has a specific will. That's the problem. See, everybody thinks there's a specific thing that's separate from their giftings. That's
it's
the
like
mistake.
the thing. It's the it.
The thing. You got to find out the thing, and you got God to tell you. No. Just use those gifts. Assume that God has given you these gifts, and do them with all your might. And as you go out and live life, if God wants you to do something, I promise you, he will direct you. He doesn't hide his will from people.
I was reading about that once. How a lot of very successful business people felt that they didn't even really reach their true calling of really making a difference or doing something until well after they were very successful at what they did. And they'll say, but they had to go through that.
You have to go through
to be able to do the stuff later.
Really be able to make the difference or the change in life that they,
Some of the people who've accomplished the greatest had periods of their life that were just,
abysmal failures.
Nelson Mandela today. I mean, how many years was he in prison?
27 years, right?
Rotting away there. You would think, oh, what a waste of my life. God, why did you let that happen? But yet, because of what he suffered and the respect that he won from his nation, he came and he changed that nation and had a huge impact on the world. Those weren't things. If he would have never gone through that, I don't know that he'd had the impact that he had today. Not that you want anybody to go through stuff like that, but just do the gifting you have. Don't be paranoid and afraid that you're going to miss God's will. God's a big boy. He can tell you. He doesn't, I don't know this idea of hiding. God's hiding his will from me. There's people who spend 40 years of their lives and never accomplished anything because they're still waiting for God to speak to them.
Just do something.
Just do something. The parable of the talents. Jesus said, I gave one guy, he gave one guy, was it 5, the other one 2, one, whatever it was. And the people just went out and did what they were given, and you worked with that. They didn't need the master telling them what to do the whole time, except for the guy with 1. He was afraid, and
because they didn't tell him what to do.
And Jesus in the parable really chewed this guy out in a really bad. I think a lot of people are the guy with the 1 talent, who because they only have 1 and they're afraid that they might do something the master doesn't like, don't do anything. Don't do that. Take your gifts, take your talents, your abilities, go make them work. What should I do? What do you want to do?
Do you know that there's people who have an incredible ability to put up with bosses who are impossible? And it's a gift from God.
I heard that. They occasionally dress in green. A little evil laugh.
I was waiting. I was just waiting. I was letting you talk.
That was the evil laugh. I need to record that and make a phone ringer on it. So when you call me,
calling.
I'll hear it. Oh, man. All right, let's take a break, and we'll be back with more emails right after this.
Want more of Mark? Visit markgungor.com. There you will find everything that Mark has to offer.
Well, now, please don't give me all that lip. Stop acting like you are so hip. You know you want it. Yes, you can. You want a bologna sandwich, man. So come on. Feed me some bologna.
That's right. That's why we're here, to feed you more bologna on the Mark Gungor Show. What do you got there?
Okay, it's a flag page
What
question.
baloney do you have?
It's a flag page question.
flag page question.
I didn't give you the flag page or anything because I don't think you need it. She didn't
Okay,
send
the
it.
flag
and
page
I
for
don't
those
think
of you
it's necessary.
who live in Neilsville, little town I grew up in. Never heard of such a thing. The flag page is an online assessment. You can go to our website, flagpage.com, and take this simple little test that really helps people to connect. The whole thing about you want to succeed with people, understand what makes them tick, understand what you need to succeed. Once everybody's on the same page, makes life a lot easier. All right, what do you got?
Okay, she says, my amazing creative husband is a perfect fun person and is in a job that he hates. It's literally killing him for rubbish money, she says.
Okay.
He wants to do something different, but is scared to do something different in case he fails. She says, I am a control peace person and he is driving me crazy. I am praying like mad for him, but what can I do to support him short of quitting his job for him? She said, can you tell I'm a control person? What should I do? So I asked, what is his job? She said, he is a piano technician and fixes pianos. It's mind-numbingly boring. He's been doing it for 17 years. She said his dream is to direct a biblically accurate Bible movies, but I think he would settle for making videos for a church. He has done quite a few for our church for free, which were amazing, but they're not willing to pay him for it. So what can he do with a job that's killing him?
First, try to find something that you like that's realistic. To say my goal is to produce biblically accurate movies is borderline absurd. Now maybe he's right. I mean, that would be me saying, I don't really like what I'm doing.
I want to play in the NBA.
I want to play in the NBA. I do. I want to be like a center in the NBA. That's my dream. And some people are like that.
Oh, I know.
They're totally clueless. The chances of me playing in the NBA, they wouldn't even let me be the ball boy in the NBA. I couldn't run fast enough to get the ball. But my goal is, and there's people like this. I've talked to them.
I know.
I talked to one guy. He said, well, what's your goal? I just want to be a youth pastor. Really? Yeah. So do you work with youth now? No.
Hate kids.
I hate kids. I'm not exaggerating. I met with a guy like that.
I know you did.
He hated his own children.
And he wanted to go
and it's on the verge of creating divorce in their marriage.
Because he's...
so miserable, and these kids drive me crazy, and why do I have to do anything? He's just a jerk. And it's just robbing me from what I really want to do. And so, what do you want to do? I want to be a children's pastor. I'm not kidding you. I'm like, what? Are you out of your mind?
Oh, I don't know why I find that so funny.
He was serious as a heart attack, but delusional. So, look, there's nothing more miserable for a man to do something that he hates for a living. It's just true. The reason he's a technician piano is because he's probably good at it. You almost got to be a little careful. Going back to our other question, what should I do? Well, what are you good at? But not just what you're good at, what do you love? Because a lot of people do things they're good at, but they hate it. There's a lot of things I'm good at, but I hate it. Okay? So anyway, doing something that you hate. So anyway, he wants to do something that he loves. His version of what I really want to do is become a movie producer. Most people who all their lives study to become a movie director and producer
don't make it.
Never make it. It's like being a center in the NBA. So I would suggest perhaps something a little more realistic. Now, she suggested maybe doing videos at a church.
And he's done some, so clearly he's invested some time and study into learning how to run a camera and things like that.
So, well, he can't do it at his church. Well, find a church that he can. Get good at it, get some examples, look for a church, go online But even there, that's a really competitive field. Back when I was producing music for radio and television, having recording studios was fairly rare. Having the equipment that could do it, so I did it. But then eventually, it got to be very difficult to make a living because anybody with a computer.
There's so many people doing it, yeah.
I mean, you can do on a Mac, on this Mac, I can do more than the most expensive recording studio when I was growing up could ever do. and do it in nanoseconds versus hours on the other. So it just changes everything. So the problem with what he wants to do in the video thing is it's amazing how many people who are incredibly skilled at it. And almost every church has somebody who can do it. So I still think your challenge here is maybe try to encourage him to find something else that he loves, something a little bit more realistic. Say, well, I want to be a movie producer. So yeah, it's probably
Well, can you get
probably
that
not gonna
fulfilled
happen.
doing it on the side like he does?
Well,
Isn't
you
that
can have it as a
possible?
hobby.
Right.
You know, I have
And who knows?
hobbies.
Maybe he's really good at it. We don't know.
And maybe he's great at it. Maybe you can get a job at
Maybe
it.
he can.
You know, then you can get the church's attention. There are churches that look for people like that. But whatever it is, I would just encourage him. You know, of course, it's going to be hard. Here's the problem with some careers. And I've been in this once. I remember I had an assistant pastor's job once where they paid me a lot of money. And I felt trapped. And I finally understood for the first time men who say they feel trapped. And here's how you feel trapped. There is no way you can go do what you want to do and make the same money.
So you're stuck.
So you're stuck. Or you've got to just suck it up. And eventually we sucked it up and moved on. But it's very hard, very difficult. Now, in this case, she says he hardly makes any money doing it now. So go do something else. He says you're making peanuts being a piano. Well, go find something else. So anyway, fear is a hard thing, though. He's full of fear, and he doesn't want to go into the unknown. So
Because he's afraid to fail.
yeah, no, I know. Men don't like to fail. And at some point, he's got to find something that he loves. Let's say he can't get away from his job. That's what he's going to do for the rest of his life. Do encourage him to volunteer at the church and get really good at some other things. Find things that you enjoy. I have things that I enjoy, some diversions that have nothing to do with what I do for a living. And I love them very much. I enjoy them.
And my encouragement for her would just be support him and be his number one fan no matter what he does. You know, if he really
It sounds like she's supportive, actually, the way she describes how good he is at this other stuff. So,
and if he really can't afford to fail and they could make it, I mean, she should
Give him
keep
the
telling
chance
him
to fail.
Go for it, do it, you know.
another thing, I mean, you work together as a team. Marriage is a team. Maybe you need to find a stronger job. Maybe I don't know if she's working or not. Maybe she gets a better job where she makes more money, where he can afford to stop doing what he's doing and take the risk and do something else. We got to work together as a team on it. So anyway, all right. One more break, and we'll be back with the final segment.
Attend Mark's Laugh Your Way to a Better Marriage event. Visit laughyourway.com for upcoming dates and locations.
I see days that left us bronzed and breathless, then melted into night.
Just gonna stand here and flex for the camera.
I'll never forget
The music of
as long
Michael O'Brien.
as I
Love. He's such a great musician. He does these online, what do you call those live streaming things? Yeah, I love catching those. I insult him.
Is he an ASCAP artist?
He actually probably is. I don't know, but he gave us personal permission.
He's licensed.
Can you prove it?
Oh, no.
Inside joke, folks. Never mind. All right, what do you got there?
Okay, dating question.
Dating.
She says, I've known this guy for 6 years. We've dated off and on. He's 23. She's 19. Just last year.
6 years.
Well, she met him when she was 13. They started dating when she was 15. She's 19 now.
All right.
Just last year, we started to speak again. Oh, I'm sorry.
Got a frog.
Started to speak again towards making something serious
Cough it
happen.
up. Hairball.
So you didn't hear what I said now, because you
Hairball.
were over the top of me.
Okay, wait. What did you say?
They started to speak again last year
He didn't hear what you said
towards
there either.
making something serious happen.
She wants to know how to make something serious happen.
They started talking about
Oh,
it.
they both started talking.
Yes, about 1.5 years has gone by, and he still says he is not ready to commit to me. I want a relationship with him because he's a great man of God, but he will not tell me why he cannot commit to me. He has demonstrated that he cares about me. What am I doing wrong? She thinks it's because he's afraid from being from a broken home. And no, they are not having sex.
Good. What, I'll tell you what you're doing wrong. You're trying to chase a man who doesn't want to be with you. Some things are, they wrote in the Declaration of Independence that we find some truths
Self-evident.
self-evident. In other words, even the biggest dummy in the world can figure out something. No, not her. Not her, in the Constitution.
Okay.
I think.
This is that non-specific sarcasm that was talked about earlier.
Yeah.
we find these truths to be self-evident. You know, that everybody needs. Everybody knows you need these things. Now, she's not being self-evident. Here's what you should be self-evident. You weren't a dummy. A lot of people do this because your heart, you like this guy. But you generally want to try and find someone
Reciprocates.
who wants you. It is what it is. You're 18, sweetheart. You are at the peak of your gorgeousness. Don't stay in this mode till you're 38 and that starts to wear off a bit. All right? Now is when you're most likely to catch the attention of other young men. You find one who's not interested in you, move on. And quite frankly, one of the most powerful things you can do to get his attention is to move on. I remember some years ago, there was this lady, I won't mention her name. She probably listens to this show, but she'll know. Maybe she wouldn't mind. But anyway, she would come and she was just so upset because so-and-so just wasn't moving like her.
Not moving on it.
Not moving on. They're moving on. And I said, let me ask you a question. If he wants to see you tonight, would you see him? Yes. So if he calls you at any given moment, you'll get together. Of course. I said, well, that's your problem. She says, what do you mean? I said, you're too accessible. The next time he says he wants to go somewhere with you or do something, tell him no. Tell him you've got to, wash your goldfish or something. Clean the toilet. I mean, anything. Just come up with anything. And she looked at me with horror in her eyes. I said, I'm telling you, I know this stuff. This is 20 years ago. I said, do this and see what happens. 2 weeks later, she comes in and she's just bouncing off the walls. I said, what's with you? She says, I did what you said. And I said, yeah, and? She said, he won't leave me alone. And he married the girl, and they've been successfully married probably more than 20 years now. It's been a long time. Yeah, it's been quite a while ago. So you'd be surprised, my dear lady, all you girls, if you make yourself too available to a guy, he won't value you. He's communicating to you, I don't know if I want to commit. I don't know. Dump him. Move on. I'll bet you money that he will start to pursue her more intensely. If you break it off with him and he doesn't pursue you, then you know it was the right thing to do. You don't have to be afraid that it's the right thing to do. Oh, if I do that, he'll leave. If he does that, he's not the guy for you, I'm telling you.
Good riddance.
More than likely, you quit paying attention to him, quit talking to him. He wants to, hey, you want to go to a movie or you want to go for a walk? No, I got to, watch reruns of, Gilligan's Island or something. He will suddenly, more than likely, start to pursue you. Don't make yourself so available that he doesn't value you. Here's the thing you girls got to do. You got to start the relationship. Don't wait for them to start it. You girls start it, but then you got to learn how to play keep away. Make him chase you. If he doesn't chase you, move on. Sweetheart, you're only 18. You got lots of time to work this out. All right, see ya.
Bye-bye, boys.
Have fun storming the castle.